there's three phases that a mentee and a mentor go through in their relationship. Number one is they idolize a person. Number two is they demonize a person. Number three is they humanize a person. So let me explain number one. You get into a new business. I recruit a lot of agents, and they're like, oh my God, George is a millionaire. He's a coach. He's my leader. He's my mentor. He's my this. I love the guy. He's so inspirational. And then we get into a relationship, and I start coaching and mentoring, and I start pushing some buttons, and I start calling them out, and I don't buy their excuse. I don't allow them to make certain excuses. I call them out on their bullshit. There's just like, they're uncomfortable now. And I'm pushing their buttons, not because I want to do that on purpose. I need to pull out the weakness out of that person. I need to pull out those excuses out of that person. So I'm calling them out. I'm holding them accountable. And they're like, man, you can't embarrass me that way. You can't do this to me. So all of a sudden you went from you idolize the person to you crucify the person, right? You demonize the person. And you're like, he's just not a good leader, and she's this, and they don't understand, and they're so insensitive, and they don't just get what it's like having kids. They don't understand my situation. They're so insensitive. They're so rude. He's so blah, 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 right? Okay, so you go through that. Then what ends up happening, if it ever happens, you, yourself, that person that's that way, makes a mistake, right? You make a mistake. And then you know what you want? Forgiveness, right? Or you have to challenge somebody else, and they're not grateful for you investing in constructive criticism. They're not grateful for that coaching. They turn their back on you. They let you down, and you're like, man, I would never do that to somebody. And then it hits you like a slap in the face, and you realize that you've actually done that to other people, somebody that was coaching you. And so some of you guys will say, man, I don't even know what the hell this guy's talking about. Have you ever called out your parents for doing something, and then later on you become a parent and then you do it, right? What'd you do? You idolize your parent, then you didn't like something about them, so you demonized them, right? And then you go through that same situation, you learn humility, you learn, wow, I'm so grateful. I didn't understand how much energy it actually took to hold people to high standards. I didn't understand how much energy it took to call somebody out all the time, to not allow an excuse to slip. Wow, I didn't understand how much energy it took to be aware of the thinking behind the statement and be able to call out, to be able to address that with that person, because they weren't really asking a question. They were really making a statement, and it was a negative statement. They were being aggressive. Wow. Okay, so I didn't understand how much leadership went into building human beings, building a business. Man, I'm so grateful for that person. I'm so grateful for that person. And then what happens, right, is that you humanize them because you've made a mistake, or you understand why they were the way they were. And then that relationship typically gets stronger depending on how you go through that demonize phase, that crucify phase. Was there still respect? Was there still appreciation? Did you operate with integrity, where you didn't share problems, you didn't talk bad about them, you didn't gossip about them? How did you go through that challenging phase? See, I've gone through challenging phases with business partners, with mentors, right? But I was always operated from a place of integrity, never shared problems, didn't put the person down. I could have been frustrated, and maybe I talked to, my wife, or share, hey, I didn't like that, and, but respect, integrity, appreciation, those things should never be lost when you're going through challenges between a mentee and a mentor, because that person doesn't have to mentor you. In a heartbeat, they can take that energy that they're putting into you and put it into somebody else, and their life will be blessed by it, because it's so hard to find a mentor that knows what they're doing, that's been very successful, that's still in the game, that cares about you, that's willing to give you feedback, that knows you at a level that can give you feedback because there's so much history there. That's such a hard thing to find. That's why I'm so grateful for my mentor, and I want to make sure that relationship, it's gold, because there's very few people like that in this world. I have less than 5, and I'm including family there. Less than 5, and I'm 37 years old, and there's less than 5 people like that. So value those people and be prepared that, hey, you know what? I don't like what they're telling me. Maybe I'm not supposed to. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I got to mature past this phase of being, and I had to mature. Man, that was so disrespectful. Dude, get over yourself. You're not that big of a deal. You're right. I'm just a freaking human being. If my life went away today, the world would, for my family, but outside of that, the world's moving on. That's just the way it is. We've all lost people. We understand that. The world has to keep moving on. You have to keep moving on. So you're not that big of a deal. Humble yourself, be grateful, but be prepared, because you could be listening to this two ways. One, man, I'm the person going through this right now. And who am I demonizing? Who am I crucifying? And who do I need to build that? Why am I doing that with my mentor? Why? Man, I got to build that relationship. Don't go look for who's going to validate your feelings, by the way. Don't go look for who's going to validate, like, oh yeah, I can't believe he said that to you, because you're going to another small thinker, because a big thinker would be like, good for you that you got somebody call your ass out. You should appreciate that relationship. That's what the right person does, versus, oh yeah, I can't believe, I don't like the way he talks to me either. Maybe you're that person, you're in that phase right now. Maybe you're not in that phase. Maybe you're in the, oh my God, they're amazing. Hey, you're going to go through that phase where you're not going to think they're going to be amazing. Be wise. Maybe you're getting this before you go through that phase, right? Or maybe you're in the phase where you've already, humanized that person, and hopefully you've asked for forgiveness if you did make a mistake, because it's a valuable relationship. And if you're the leader, right, don't be disappointed with people. Understand that they're going to go through those phases, and they have to mature out of them. And they themselves will one day humanize. They'll understand they made a mistake, and they'll humanize, right? And you have to be willing to forgive that person too, which is challenging. But that's the beautiful part about life, right? In the Bible, it says you don't have to forgive 7 times. You have to forgive 70 times 7. So 490 times you have to be willing to forgive somebody. Now 491, number 491, just F them, you know what I'm saying? Don't ever forget. I'm just totally joking. Somebody's going to clip just that part. So you got to be willing to forgive, man. You got to be willing to forgive. You got to be willing to mend relationships. But those are 3 phases that you're going to go through. I hope this added value to you. Whether you're the student or you're the mentor, man, I hope this added some value to you, and that you can laugh at the end of the day, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. Take care. We'll see you on the next video, guys.